Hello, this is the Jack and Dom radio show here on WUPX 91.5 FM HC1 Marquette. I just want to let everyone know that the opinions said on the show do not represent the opinions of this radio station or the university. If you so choose, you are able to get the recording of the show on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're also on social media, so if you so choose, you can currently find us on Twitter and Facebook. Just look up the Jack and Dom Radio Show. That being said, good afternoon, everyone. Jack, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. I see you're wearing a Lions jersey today. I know the Lions are playing today, but also I believe you might know a little bit more of this more of this than I do. Something with Aiden Hutchinson. He chose like a high school player to like. That's up here in the UP. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Do not? Okay.
You can look into that while I talk about the football team this week.
Yes.
Once again, we lose. Again. I know, what a shocker. 35-16 on this homecoming weekend. Honestly, I was surprised with all the alumni in the crowd that we didn't start hearing some boo birds towards the end of that game because it was messy to watch. The 35-16 scoreline, yeah, NMU had some costly, badly timed fumbles, but yeah, I mean, it was a rough game. Just a reminder that the opinions said on this show do not represent the opinions of this radio station.
Yes, I already brought that up.
Just reminding you because, especially with the football team, I want to make it crystal clear.
It's going to be
because it's going to be a tough conversation.
It's going to be spicy hot
about that team. So,
because if you were looking for me, I was working on behalf of my TV station on the field while you were. I was recording statistics and. The best part about NMU football is it's really easy to record statistics because, every play is going to be a run up the middle. So I get to the point the last couple games where I don't even ask anymore for people to tell me who the receivers are on the field because I know they're not going to get the ball. So I just look at the two running backs and go from there. Davenport, they go 5 wide, they go 2 back, like they mix it up. So I actually have to figure out all the personnel. Yep. With NMU, I just look at the 2 running backs because I know if they throw it, it's going to be an incompletion. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think, unless you count the pitches, they had a single completed pass in that game. Mm-hmm.
And if they did, it wasn't for more than a couple. They might have had a few towards the end of the half, but it was not pretty. Whenever this team gets behind, they just don't have the ability to throw the ball.
Yeah, I feel like they gave up in the fourth quarter.
Oh, absolutely, and they did the same thing I think against St. Thomas, but It's really concerning to me that they just don't have the ability to throw the ball. If you watched their quarterback Riddle throw the ball, it looked like a punter was throwing it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I understand that he's a running quarterback and he's actually very good at running the option. But especially after Duke got injured, Duke Chauvel, their other quarterback, they just don't have the ability to throw the ball. So what you see on the opposing defenses is they will have their safety less than 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, and they'll have everybody up blind because they know, 1, you're not going to use the receivers, and 2, if you do, you can't beat them deep and hurt them. It's very reminiscent to me of the Michigan Davis Warren teams, except for Michigan had some of the best running backs in the country and were able to overcome those problems. NMU does have some pretty talented running backs. They give them credit and a solid offensive line.
Yeah.
But, again, when you don't have that downfield passing game, it just makes it that much harder to move the ball down the field, especially when you are losing and you need to move the ball quickly. I think the bottom line is, and, I've talked about this, my coworkers, and, you and I have talked about this on the show and outside of the show, and,
And I've even discussed this amongst my coworkers.
Right, it's something that everybody is talking about. It really boggles my mind that you can run such an elementary offense, keep losing, and not make any changes.
Yeah.
We have seen the exact same formations, the exact same playbooks for almost 3 years now. I was talking with my coworkers, and I was like, if you're going to run the ball, that's fine. There are plenty of offenses. Yes. Army is really...
There are run-heavy offenses.
Army before Todd Monken took over was one of the best examples of that. Navy has done it well also. There's plenty of teams from D1, all the way down to the D3 level that do it consistently well.
Even in the NFL.
Right. The NFL
like the Lions, we have good running backs too. But
less so. The NFL, you're not running,
90% of the time.
Right. But there are teams in college football that do that well.
Yes.
And we talked about on the show before, I've watched a few Army games, mostly only against Michigan, or occasionally if they're on TV at a restaurant, I'll see Army or Navy run that offense back when they ran those offenses. And what you see is a couple things that NMU could have that they don't. And that it frustrates me because they aren't incredibly complicated concepts. I don't like the offense they're running, but I've accepted that this is the offense they're going to run. What frustrates me the most is the lack of creativity on the offensive side of the ball, for which I blame the coaching staff. You have a guy in Riddle that is actually, I'll give him credit, pretty good at running the option. When he keeps it, they actually get pretty good yardage.
Yes. I've noticed that.
They've had over 4 yards a carry, I think, overall, and on their options, they get 5 or 6 a play. Please don't quote me on those numbers. That's just, what I've seen as I've watched the team. It's not an official number. But they move the ball okay until third down when they stack the box and everybody knows you're going to run it up the middle. And then you get stuff and you normally have to punt, or they put you in a fourth and long situation and you really struggle. What I don't see, that I see from Army, that I saw from Michigan when you had Davis Warren, David Warren, great guy, cancer survivor, awesome dude, but just was not qualified to play quarterback for the University of Michigan. But what I saw under those two teams, what I've seen under other run-heavy offenses that I've watched over the course of my time as a college football fan, is they do a couple things, other than the QB option, which I just mentioned. The second thing that they do is they get receivers involved on jet sweeps, on motions, right? The only thing that I saw on Saturday and then the previous home game, I'm blanking on who it was. Oh, St. Thomas the previous week.
Yeah.
These games get so forgettable. These games get so forgettable when they all end the same.
Yeah.
What I saw against both those teams is they would motion a receiver. They normally have one receiver left, one receiver right, and 2 in the backfield, and a tight end as an extra offensive line. We'll come back to that, actually. But they'd motion typically the receiver on the left side to the right side or vice versa. However, everyone in that stadium knows that receiver is not getting a ball on a jet sweep, and they're not going to throw it to him. So you're creating pre-snap motion that you can basically ignore because we all know they're not going to get the ball. If you started running I'm not even asking for a flea flicker or anything complicated like that, although I think you could try and run that and it might work. But I'm asking for a jet sweep, a motion, put a receiver in the backfield, get creative. The QB option is one way to do that, and I think they need to incorporate that more, especially with Chauvel being as injured as he is. Horde has been injured for the whole season, basically. So, this is going to be your guy. So tailor the offense around him. If you want to run the QB option, that's great. I'm begging you to run it more. Get some receiver motions in there, get creative. I understand that you're 0-26, so you should be pulling everything on God's green earth out of the bag of tricks.
Yes.
And they don't. They run the same vanilla offense, the same plays. There's no creativity.
Do you think they have a bag of tricks in the back of the playbook?
They may not have a bag of tricks, but here's the cool thing.
That's what I'm...
But here's the cool thing. You can make a bag of tricks.
Yeah.
Right? Jet sweep, there's about 8-10 variations you can run of a jet sweep. And that makes the playbook a little bit bigger, but that's not complicated. Now, I understand, stuff like a flea flicker is a bit harder to run and execute and add to a playbook and set up.
Yeah.
But you can create a bag of tricks on the fly. It may not be in the playbook right now, but that's something that you can include. And that's definitely something that I think they could run and execute because you could really catch a team off guard. Yeah, you can't run the flea flicker every week. You'll get it once or twice and they'll catch on. But a flea flicker, a fake punt, a jet sweep, something to get that offense moving because you don't, even Michigan with Davis Warren and even Army with their run-heavy offenses were able to do play action because even though they had run-heavy quarterbacks, those guys could still throw the ball. Not far, 5-10-yard slant screens, crosses, but you had a tiny threat of throwing the football, enough where you could run a play action, get everybody to, be on the line of scrimmage and catch them off guard and get a 15-yard pass. We just don't have that.
No, we don't.
I was looking at the score sheet, I believe, Riddle was like 0 for 1 up until last week in terms of passing. So it's not like he throws the ball often. He's probably like 1 for 5, 1 for 6 now. I'll let Dom check on that while I'm talking. But they have zero threat of throwing the football. And that's that.
We were 278 yards for rushing.
Yeah, what does Riddle have throwing the ball?
Oh my goodness. I've never seen this before. 0 net total passing yards.
Yeah, I don't think he completed a pass.
No, he didn't. 7 attempts,
but that's
5 misses, 2 interceptions.
Right.
For 0 passing yards.
That's like that boils down to the coaching staff.
I've never seen that before.
Neither have I.
I have seen negative net rushing yards. I've never seen 0 passing.
Even Army gets more than that. But anyway,
oh my goodness!
Like, you've got to get creative on that side of the football. Like, what you're running is not working. You chose to stick with the offensive coordinator for year 3, despite the fact that I think that was a mistake, and I think most people agree that that was a mistake, given how the offense is running. But 0 passing yards under any circumstances is ridiculous.
That is unacceptable.
Basically, there is 0 threat of you throwing the ball, so they can put 8 guys on the line, and you can't do anything about it. Sure, you can outmuscle them and get 4 yards a carry, but you're not winning football games that way. So, consistently, maybe you beat Roosevelt, I doubt it, but consistently, you have an offense from the, archaic era that runs poorly. Like, not runs poorly in terms of runs the ball, but just like the play calling is not there. You refuse to get creative. You refuse to mix things up. You refuse to try something. I understand that your only 2 currently healthy quarterbacks are true freshmen, but when you go 0 for 7 with 2 interceptions, you're telling me somebody else on that team can't complete a pass? Like, CMC against the Philadelphia Eagles as a running back looked better than Matt throwing the ball as an emergency quarterback.
I mean, you could run screenplays; it would count as a pass completion.
Right. I don't understand it. If you want to be a run-heavy offense because you have a guy that runs the ball, fine. But you've got to do something to mix it up. And they're just so set in the ways that they are. It is so frustrating to watch on a weekly basis. Like, I'm there doing statistics, and I almost want to avert my eyes because it is so painful to see.
So I'm on Massey ratings because last week we had a 51% chance against Roosevelt. It's now gone down to 47%. So we are not favored in any
What I've noticed, though,
games.
is Massey tends to overrate the underdogs a little bit because they don't want to necessarily underestimate lower-ranked teams.
Yeah.
So I would say that's more like a 5%. Like, whenever Michigan plays teams, you'll see that, like, even some of the vastly inferior teams have a 30 to 40% chance of winning, despite the fact that odd is really 5. So, like, I like Massey ratings, and I think what they do is good, but they, I think, overhype a lot of the underdog teams. Like, Northern Michigan should have a 5 or less % chance to win against every team.
I mean,
Roosevelt, sure, give them like 20%.
I mean, Saginaw Valley's 9, Grand Valley's 1,
that's
Michigan Tech 8, Ferris 0.
It should be 0 against
Davenport 7, and Wayne State 28.
Yeah, I mean, those are still high, and those are low. Okay, moving on to a happier topic. The NMU women's cross country team was at the Lloyd Gryak Invitational in Minnesota this past weekend. I have some
friends on that team.
I wrote about that for the it's on the NMU athletics page if you would like to check it out. But they finished 3rd place in that invitational out of 24 teams, which is super impressive. Their highest performance since they finished 3rd in 2016. Maddie Skamansky once again leading the way with a top 5 finish. She wins GLIAC Athlete of the Week for that excellent performance.
That's cool.
I believe it was 9. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was 9 NMU runners in the top 70.
That's cool. That's supposed to be good.
Absolutely a great performance across the board for the team. They had a couple other runners in the top 25, I believe, also, and then one additional.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I did watch a movie about cross country. It was like a team it was like a little school in California. Yeah. I believe how it works is you have obviously there's a bunch of schools and you have a bunch of players,
right? And
the place that you're in is like, it's kind of like golf in a sense where the lower the number, the better.
So if you're first,
you get 1 point. If you're 50th, you get 50 points.
It's not exactly
you
like
add
that.
them all
it's not
together.
Like 50th for 50th place, like the
no. I'm talking about
yes, you're right.
You add all the points,
but like 50th place is not necessarily 50. It's like 5, but it goes up as you get a lower position. So the lower points are better. NMU, I believe, had 66 or 67 this week.
And is it only the top 5 of your players count?
No.
Okay.
But what happened was. NMU finished 3rd overall in the competition. The 2 teams ahead of them were nationally ranked in the top 25.
Okay.
So absolutely excellent
that must have been a good
performance from them. I believe Michigan Tech was there also, and we beat them, so that's always nice to see. Just a great performance by them. They finished 2nd a couple weeks ago at the Phoenix Invitational, so I know I continue to write about the team, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do this coming weekend. In terms of soccer, the women's soccer team was on the road this weekend, winning 4-2 at Roosevelt.
Which, if I remember correctly, Roosevelt was ahead at half, and then scored a bunch of goals.
And then you opened the floodgates there, and then dropped their next game 2-1 against Parkside. The men were here home against Parkside. I was working that game. They lose 3-1 on some controversial no-call penalties. I don't normally complain. Well, okay, I do complain about referees a lot, but
I do
for example, in the Green Bay Cleveland game, I was being biased because I don't like Green Bay, and I do that a lot. But in this case, coach was very adamant and frustrated about the calling, and he had a right to be. There was a knee to the head that should have been an automatic yellow card that was not called on Parkside. There were multiple times where NMU made a run into the box and were pushed down, no call. And there were several times where NMU barely touched Parkside players and received penalties and or cards. So, yes, I would say that refereeing performance was a big reason why they lost 3-1 against Parkside. Ultimately, a difficult loss for them. I think they outplayed Parkside. They should have won that game, but not their day. Some poor luck, some bad refereeing, couple unlucky plays by their defense, and ultimately they fall 3-1 against Parkside in that game. Okay. The October schedule came out this week for me for
because in the notes stats, you have hockey season projection.
Yep, that's what we're going to talk about. The October schedule came out this week for statistics for me, and that reminded me that hockey season is right around the corner. We are less than a month out.
That's our moneymaker.
NMU's first game, which
UMass,
is October 4th at UMass. So that's a mere 2 weeks away.
And then October 4th, October 5th, UMass.
We take on UMass
10,
on the road.
11 at not.
Well, we take UMass on the road, then we take Ohio State on the road, then we host Colorado College, then we host number 1 Michigan State.
Ooh, that one's going to be interesting.
Okay. So first off, that is a brutal 8 matches for a team. 8 games for a team that really struggled last year.
Yes.
So I think we'll probably lose most of those games. Not because I don't think we're going to be a good team. You are playing 4 teams in the preseason top 20.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a brutal stretch of games. So if NMU takes 2 of those games or even 3 of those games, gets some positive results, that'll be a really good omen for our season moving forward because those are some of the top teams in the country. We also play Tech, who I believe is not ranked currently, but probably will be by the end of the season. And Mankato, who I believe is like 22nd maybe in the top 25. So we've got a gauntlet of games. Bemidji State is going to be up there as one of the best teams in the country. The Chiliac doesn't necessarily have a top team.
We don't have the...
They're very heavy.
CCHA.
Yeah, sorry.
And hockey, CCHA.
They're a very heavy conference from top to bottom. NMU was again projected to finish last this season, which I think is a bit harsh. I think we certainly finish ahead of Ferris. I think keep your expectations mild. I wouldn't say low, but mild. I think it's fair to say we will finish probably around 5th place. Again, I think Massey Ratings is not always perfect, but it looks like Massey Ratings doesn't give us Massey Ratings doesn't think we're going to win a single game.
We're not favored to win any games.
Which is rough. I think that's a little bit harsh. But our schedule's a gauntlet. We play
it is.
4 current top 20 teams in the first in our first 4 series, and then Mankato, Tech, and Bemidji will all probably be in the ballpark of the top 25 when we play them. So that gives you probably about half the season against top 25 caliber teams. And you've still got teams like Bowling Green and Lake State that will be in the hunt. The only gimme game in there, maybe, if you even count it as a gimme game, is Ferris. So it's a gauntlet. However, towards the end of the season, I liked what I saw from this team. They got a decent recruiting class in, not nearly as good as some other CCHA
How many transfers do you know?
I think they got like 6. They got a lot of new transfers. They've got like 16 new players.
How many outgoing?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know Coach will probably talk about that in this upcoming press conference, so we'll talk about that as we get closer. I want to say the number I saw somewhere was 16 new players.
Okay.
I know they got a couple of guys from the CHL developmental stuff, which is big. That's new this year, and those are some of your really top tier caliber prospects. NMU obviously is not a heavyweight in the recruiting, but I've been impressed by what they've been able to do the past couple seasons recruiting wise. So we'll see if some of those true freshmen can make an impact from the get go. I think the big thing is going to be, can they get some better performances in net this upcoming season with Olette graduating. A lot of question marks for this team, but unlike the football team, they've given me cause for optimism. And I think it'll be very exciting, even though we probably don't win those games, to have these top teams face us, really give us a test early in the season. I think especially when we host Michigan State. I'm working the Friday game, so I'll obviously be there for that, but I think I probably won't go to too many games this year in the student section, but I do think that Saturday against Michigan State will be a fun game, an electric atmosphere. I will probably be there for that.
I'll try to be there.
Yeah. I think it'll be really exciting. So I don't know how good we're going to be this year, but I mean, the atmosphere is always great. This team, I think, is on the up. I think you'll see them play a lot better this year. I don't know if the record will necessarily reflect the team playing better this year just because of that gauntlet of a schedule, but I'm really optimistic. I see this team finishing, unfortunately, second to last in the CCHA ahead of Ferris, which means I have more optimism than the experts do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think there is a very good chance that we finish ahead of Lake State also.
Okay.
I don't think there's any shot we win the CCHA. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't think we finish ahead of Tech, Bemidji, or Mankato. I think there's a chance that we finish ahead of Bowling Green, but I think towards the bottom of the pack, but not the bottom, I think is a realistic expectation of where we're going to be. And I think picking up at least a tie and a win against those top 20 teams will be realistic. I think UMass is probably your best chance to get those points. Colorado College, I believe we tied once last year when we played them, when we hosted them. Or maybe that was on the road, I don't remember. But no, that was on the road. But we did, I think, get a point from them last time we played them. So there's a chance. But keep your expectations tempered, obviously, against these top 20 teams. Okay. I don't want to linger too much on the Detroit Tigers because
yes, what happened?
It's just so disappointing. We had a 15-game lead or like a 15.5-game lead in July. It's now a 1-game lead.
Ooh.
We've been swept in back-to-back series. There's a very good chance the Tigers miss the playoffs.
We were so good at the beginning of the season.
Here's the problem. Number one, you picked up a bunch of aging veteran relievers that nobody wanted. You went to the bargain bin because you refused to trade any prospects and you refused to pay anybody. Tariq Skubal, your star player, hasn't been re-signed, and you've given him no reason to be re-signed because you refuse to pay him. So there's a high likelihood that Detroit loses his best player in the offseason. Chris Ilitch refuses to pay our players, and that's a problem. Our general manager is underwater because he's not given the money to build this team. And ultimately, coaching and general managing has just not been up to par. So I don't want to linger on it, but ultimately, as a Tigers fan, I'm disappointed. I think we missed the playoffs. And I think next year we really got to do some soul searching to figure out what it's going to take for this team to get into the upper echelon. Because we've got the young talent on this team, and if we re-sign Skubal, we've got a real good pitching staff. But when you don't sign anybody and you refuse to pay guys, and you're one of the lowest salary teams in the league, even in a big market, it's not going to matter. So I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to linger on it. It makes me almost as frustrated as NMU football. But it's just really, really disappointing to see. We'll move on to at least a happier topic for me as a Michigan fan.
Of course.
We beat Nebraska.
Cult follower.
We beat Nebraska 30-27. I just want to put out there that Hail Mary counts for 7 of those points. So, yes, they got the points. I'm not denying that they got those points, but a fluke, I would argue. Hail Marys are not something you'd commonly get. And then a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct that had absolutely nothing to do with the play gave them another first down and eventual touchdown. So really, you take away a stupid penalty and a Hail Mary with 1 second left that wouldn't have happened if Michigan didn't take a foolish timeout. So ultimately, really, you dominated that game, but you kept them in the game, which was disappointing to see. Bryce continues to not be great throwing the ball, but a lot of receiver drops contributed to that. He still runs for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Justice Haynes continues to be one of my Heisman favorites. Again, I'm biased, but if you look at the statistics, I have good reason to be biased about that. Justice Haynes has been electric in Ann Arbor, and Zach Marshall behind him has also been elite. Michigan gets a good win over a Nebraska team that I think was a close to a top 25 caliber team. Not quite, but close to a top 25 caliber team. Michigan moves up to 19th in the polls, being 3-1, with their only loss being to
they're right behind
number 7
Vanderbilt. Surprisingly,
yes, but Vanderbilt has every right to be where they are.
Yes, they do.
Michigan will host Wisconsin in what will be a lackluster game. Wisconsin has been one of the worst teams in America these past few weeks. I know Dom is always liking to pick against Michigan, which I believe you did for Nebraska, unofficially maybe.
The game was close.
But I think you and I can both acknowledge that Wisconsin football will not threaten this Michigan team at all.
I don't think so.
They beat Miami, Ohio, but only 17-0. Pretty mediocre Miami, Ohio team. They blew up Middle Tennessee, but it's Middle Tennessee. Got blown out by Alabama. And then lost 27-10 to Maryland in a game that really wasn't that close. Maryland's a solid team, but still, they were down 27-0 at the half. So that, I think, will be a lackluster game. Michigan wins that. The real test for us, the test that Michigan State failed, that we'll talk about in a minute.
Is it Penn State
is
or USC?
Going to be, well, it's the test you already failed. Oh. So I think you can figure out who I'm alluding to.
USC.
That is USC. Michigan will play them. I believe it's on the road in 2 weeks. That will be the real test of Michigan football. But you're going to go into that game 4-1, likely close to the top 15. As a Michigan fan, I'm liking where the run game is at. The offensive line is better, but Michigan's passing game, I think, needs to improve. Bryce is only going to get better with every week, and that secondary needs to be better at locking down elite receivers, and game management, especially on Hail Marys, is absolutely critical. So we're going to find out in 2 weeks if Michigan is legitimate or not. I am cautiously optimistic that they are. USC, by the way, is one of the top quarterbacks in the country, so it will be a true test for Michigan in 2 weeks when they go on the road to face number 21 USC. But for now, a pretty gimme game against Wisconsin next week. That'll help them continue to iron out some of the kinks that they have. So that should be very exciting. On the Spartans end of things,
can I start with that because that's my team. So before the show, you brought up how most of the game we were behind by 21 points. I'm going through the game because I followed that game, by the way, because it was like middle of the night. It wasn't that far up until maybe like the third, fourth quarter, or no, I'm sorry. Between the second and third quarter, it was 31-10.
There were points where you closed the gap.
Then Michigan State scores again, 24-31 into the fourth quarter. Then USC scores, and then Michigan State scores.
So you threatened a couple of.
So
you got
it goes back and forth.
You got it. Okay, the first quarter was close.
Let me also mention Aiden Childs. I think did a very good job. No interceptions. 12 of 21 for 3 touchdowns for 212 yards. Pretty solid performance. That being said, the defense, a lot of people are describing it as Swiss cheese, just letting a lot of things through that they shouldn't have. The defense was able to, pick up a lot of that slack, which they couldn't. I think it would have been a completely different game.
I don't know about that. I fear that I don't think you would have kept it close against USC. USC outclassed you a number of ways. Here's my argument.
Beat the spread.
You beat the spread. You beat the spread with a 75-yard touchdown in garbage time.
Which is still pretty cool. No, that's hard to do.
I'm like, it's exciting that you beat the spread in that way, but it was garbage time. So if you take out the garbage time touchdown, which I will, because at that point USC was up 21 points, so that is garbage time with 2.5 minutes left. If you take out that 75-yard touchdown, Childs only had 140 passing yards outside of that last-minute 75-yard touchdown, which, to me, is not that good. You really, excluding that garbage time touchdown, you effectively lost 45.
Yeah, but it counts. It counts.
It counts on paper.
Yes.
But if you're really analyzing how you played, the game was over when USC made it 45-24.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, fine. The score sheet, you covered the spread. Great. Happy for you. Proud of you. Nice. However,
75-yard pass, though.
No, I'm impressed by it.
It should be impressive.
That's legitimate.
Don't take that away from
But I'm saying if you exclude one great play, you're at pretty mediocre play from Aiden Childs.
Yes, but it is one great play that conveniently conveniences you. Let's just let that be clear.
I acknowledge that was a great play, but again, outside of that, 140 passing yards, outside of one long pass, is not going to cut it against a top 25 opponent.
That is true.
Also, the fact that you only had...
But also, like I said, if the defense was able to pick up that slack, the dynamics would have been completely
different. You averaged less than 4 a carry. Childs only had 30 on the ground, which for Childs is extremely low.
That's probably because they had a QB spy on him.
Correct. They shut him down a lot there. And again, if you take out the 70-yard throw, he's 11 for 20 with 140 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great against a USC defense that has been widely regarded as bad as Michigan State's. I think part of the problem is he would have played much better if your play calling was better. But I would say you can say that was a good game. I will call it an okay to mediocre game from him. But he had no help on the ground beyond, what's his name? Is it Omarion Kelly? Omari, starts with an O. Omari Kelly, thank you.
Omari Kelly.
Outside of Omari Kelly, your receiving game was really non-existent.
133 receiving yards.
Right. I believe he was the one with the 75-yard grab. Outside of him, your receiving game was not doing Childs any favors.
What if we won that game?
If you won that game?
If we won that game, but it was a sloppy way to get there.
I'd still argue.
What if Nebraska won that game against Michigan?
We'll get to that in a second. But I want to comment on
the...
I'll give you credit in a second. But I won't call it a blowout because you got the garbage time touchdown. But you were comfortably beat by USC.
Yes.
In a defensive implosion.
Hold that thought, by the way, because it is the bottom of the hour. For those who are just joining us, this is the Jack and Dom radio show here on WPX 91.5 FM HD1 Marquette. We're just talking about the USC Michigan State game. Some are trying to nickname it the Trojan War because, Spartans versus Trojans. I think someone tried to make a Trojan horse statue for this game because now that USC is in the Big Ten, we'll regularly play them.
That's funny.
So we call it the Trojan War.
Okay.
That's just my
that's entertaining.
My 5 cents.
If okay, so you could say Child is a good game, mediocre game. I'm going to say it's a mediocre. What concerns me more. It shouldn't concern me because I'm a Michigan fan, but what should concern you as a Michigan State fan is Michigan is going to run the ball at you a lot, right? Michigan is a run-heavy team. So the game's in Ann Arbor this year, right? Or no? Is it in Lansing?
Let me double check.
I want to say it's in Ann Arbor, but I could be wrong.
No.
It's in East Lansing.
It is in East Lansing.
Okay, so...
Guys, according to ESPN, you have an 85% chance of winning that
Which
game.
I think is realistic. But let's talk about... Okay, you can talk about Childs having a mediocre game. You can talk about his receivers and running backs not helping him. The offensive line was poor. Defensively, you got shredded. 234 and 3 touchdowns in the air for Mayava. Here's what I think should concern you the most. 18 carries, 157 yards, 8.7 a carry. 16 carries, 90 yards, 5.6 a carry. The quarterback for USC averaged 7.8 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay? So net total, that's about 7 yards a carry. For a total of like 270 rushing.
If you're trying to convince me that Michigan State didn't do a good job at this game,
I know you don't need convincing. What I'm leading to is this is going to be a bad omen for you moving forward. For starters, you got shredded by Mayava. Mayava is good. However, you're playing Dylan Raiola next week, who is also pretty good. So I fear for your pass defense in that game. But when you play a run-heavy team...
I remember no-fly zone back like 10 years ago. That was so good.
But you're going to play a run-heavy team in Michigan. Penn State's going to run it up your throat. Do you play the Buckeyes this year?
No.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
So you dodged the Buckeyes.
We do play Penn State, and I know we will get destroyed by Penn State.
Penn State's going to run the ball up your throat. Michigan's going to run the ball up your throat.
Let me get my laptop charger real quick because my laptop battery is low.
Sure.
It'll give me like 10 seconds.
But I think, Michigan State's run defense is going to be a problem against Michigan, which is why I can comfortably say I have Michigan winning in East Lansing. Ultimately, a poor performance by the Spartans. Michigan plays mediocrely but gets the win. A win is a win, as we like to say on this show.
A win is a win.
Michigan should comfortably cruise next week
including
against
Wisconsin.
Boston
College, but you want to ignore that.
I don't. Okay, quadruple overtime is a little bit different.
It was double overtime, wasn't it?
I thought you went to quadruple, but I could be
wrong.
Anyway,
It was double overtime.
I thought you went a little bit more.
But, that would be nuts, though.
Michigan should have an easy win this week. I think State drops this game against Nebraska. I don't know if you agree, but I think Nebraska is finally legitimate. They really gave Michigan a fight.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, it was double OT. But anyway, you've had a recurring trend, though, of these issues on defense. You gave up 390 yards and 4 touchdowns to Dylan Lonergan, who was in one of his first collegiate starts. Oh, just kidding. It was his first collegiate start. So I think, that's a problem for you there. Mayava played good against you. You go back to the FCS team in Youngstown State. Even there, you give up 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know who your defensive coordinator is, but I think some questions need to be asked.
So, since we're talking about Michigan State, there's just one little side thing I do want to talk about. Our former coach, Mel Tucker. So I wanted to jokingly say, "Oh, you guys should go do this." No. So his old East Lansing mansion is now on sale for not 2.7 million dollars. There is a Zillow article on it, but it's like 8-bedroom, 8-bath for a football coach for insane. Comes with its own massage room and half basketball court. If you so choose, don't buy it.
Go check out the article. It's a funnily written article.
Funny little written article, but at the same time, we don't know where he is. He seems to have gone missing for legal reasons. He needs to be found for some particular thing. No one can find him. The press doesn't know. The government doesn't know. His family claims he doesn't know. They don't know.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Because I remember Michigan State would have Tuck Coming shirts, like with his face on it. Now Tuck is missing. That was
a tough era for you guys, I think, because you really thought you turned the corner there.
We did, but it fell apart.
Right.
Also, we had a really, really, really good once-in-a-generation running back.
Once in a generation is a bit much.
That was a once in a...
Stop the Cats.
Single-handedly beat you guys in football.
I understand that he was a good player, but once in a generation, when you had Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram in the same generation...
He was...
I will admit,
running for the Heisman Trophy.
He was a great running back. I will admit he was a great running back. I'll admit he was one of the best of the trophy. I'll admit he was one of the best of the decade. But generational is
he is generational.
No, we can agree to disagree on that. Okay, talking about the NFL, we'll cover Green Bay and Detroit last because I want to do kind of around the NFL.
What happened?
Kind of break down what happened in each game. Kind of our thoughts
I know some crazy things.
There were a lot of really fun endings this week. Just as a fan of football, it was exciting to see. Okay, so Thursday night football this week was the Bills comfortably beating the Dolphins. Dolphins are now 0-3. Questions have to be asked about Mike McDaniel. The Tua experiment is not working.
The Buffalo Bills are 0-3?
No, the Tua and the Dolphins are 0-3. The Bills beat them to make them 0-3.
Okay, good. All right.
The Bills are 3-0. So the Bills have been dominant. They had that amazing comeback win against the Ravens in week 1. So the question there is going to be, can they make a Super Bowl? My answer is no, because it's the Bills. But they're playing like they're ready for a Super Bowl. The Dolphins are 0-3. Mike McDaniel's not looking good. Chris Grier, the GM there, has consistently drafted poorly. And Tua is looking like a shell of his former self. So I think questions have to be asked about who's getting fired. Is Tua getting traded? Are McDaniels and Grier getting fired? Questions have to be asked. Speaking of questions have to be asked,
maybe I can give you an answer.
What's your answer?
Well, I need the question first.
What the heck happened to the Bengals? Joe Burrow was out.
Yeah,
but that is one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen by an offense. The Vikings, I believe, had
I would argue Carson Wentz is back.
Carson Wentz is good.
He's back.
However, Carson Wentz
he's on my fantasy football team.
He had the easiest game in existence, though, because you had, I believe it was a pick six, a fumble six, and like 2 other turnovers.
Yeah.
One of the best defensive performances I've ever seen. The Bengals need to get a quarterback right now. Hey, Jameis Winston's available because Jake Browning is not going to cut it if you want to be in playoff contention by the time Burrow comes back. Again, another team where questions have to be asked. Zach Taylor's been on the hot seat, and this game doesn't do him any favors. Okay. In a boring defensive game, you had the Jacksonville Jaguars outlast the Houston Texans. Once again, questions have to be asked. You have a Texans team that was primed to win the division this year. C.J. Stroud was supposed to take a leap in year 3. You're now 0-3, and C.J. Stroud looks like a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. Can DeMeco Ryans turn it around? Can this offensive line protect against anyone or anything? If you're a Texans fan, I'd say, much like the Dolphins, it's time to press the panic button. Okay, next game. You know who doesn't have to press the panic button and can actually get excited? The Colts, who I thought were going to be a 5-win team, are now 3-0 and have punted, you heard me right, punted once in 3 weeks. What? I'm not kidding. They have punted once in 3 weeks. Through a combination of going for it on 4th downs, shellacking their opponents.
I know they have a new owner.
And just being good well around. Yes, their new owner, Jim Irsay's daughter, is very active on the sidelines, trying to be more involved. I think that's helped the Colts a lot. You know what's really helped the Colts, though? Shane Steichen, who was the main reason, in my opinion, why the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Now they're making Danny Dimes look like an MVP candidate. Jonathan Taylor.
You're talking about Dan Jones?
Yep.
He had 228 yards for a touchdown, 18-25.
Point is, he looked great.
Yes.
Jonathan Taylor was back to prime. The Titans, you had a pick 6 from Cam Ward. Questions have to be asked about Brian Callahan's job. I know I keep saying questions have to be asked, but there's a lot of coaches on the hot seat already in week 3. You've got a rookie quarterback who I think's got a lot of potential, but when he's under pressure every play, when you're not scheming up plays to help your quarterback, NMU,
yes.
it makes it difficult to win football games.
Questions need to be asked.
Commanders with Marcus Mariota, thanks to Jaden Daniels' injury, blow out the Raiders. Gentry's not been able to do very much when you've got an offensive line that I don't think could block me rushing the passer. Geno Smith has a good game.
If it's an NFL player runs up and blocks, you're going to fly 10 feet down the field.
But point being, Raiders under Pete Carroll, that experiment has not been going well so far. It's going to take a couple seasons for them to get back on track. The Rams led 19-7 at halftime. They went up 26-7 and lose against the Eagles. I swear the Eagles are invincible at this point. No questions asked here. The only question is, well, I guess there is one question. Will the Eagles win another Super Bowl? Time will tell. Panthers blow out the Falcons 30-0. Probably one of my biggest shocks of the week until we get to a certain Green Bay Packers game.
Yeah.
But,
Panthers doing good?
Panthers are not doing well. They're 1-2.
What is this, 2012?
And they've looked poor in their other games. But the Falcons just looked awful. thanks to a pick six and a number of other strong defensive plays, the Panthers dominate, and you wonder if maybe they're turning a corner. I'm not convinced. I just think the Falcons are bad, but we'll see.
Where's Kirk Cousins? The Falcons paid a lot of money for Kirk Cousins.
He's the backup behind Penix, and they both looked bad. Steelers, Patriots, not much to say there. The Steelers win. Aaron Rodgers plays okay. Not really much of a story there.
I did watch a little bit of the Bears-Cowboys game.
We're going to get to the 4 o'clock window. Okay, I'm going to skip to the final game in the 1 o'clock window, and then we'll jump back to the Packers game. Jets have another fourth quarter collapse. Poor Aaron Glenn. Tyrod Taylor plays good enough, but Baker Mayfield...
Fourth quarter collapse? I mean,
yes,
Jets
they made a comeback, but then they made a collapse in the final seconds.
Okay, yeah, because they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter.
But Baker Mayfield had a personal vendetta against the defensive coordinator for the Jets, Steve Wilks, because Steve Wilks cut him from the Panthers, saying he wasn't good enough.
233 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, he got that last-minute field goal drive.
My starting QB.
Continue to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, the biggest game of the week in terms of what happened. Signs of trouble for the Green Bay Packers. They were
Green Bay, what happened?
They were up 10-0, and I thought they had the game. Joe Flacco was playing like a 5-year-old out there. But Quinshon Judkins and a few clutch Joe Flacco passes, followed by a field goal block, and then a field goal make from 55 by the Browns, give them the win. It gives Browns light at the end of the tunnel. I think they get blown out by Detroit, but they get their win. Packers, on the other hand, I was convinced at the beginning of the season that they would be the NFC favorites based on how they were playing. I'm concerned now because I thought Jordan Love had overcome the midseason Jordan Love.
Do you think Green Bay got lucky in the first 2 games? Now it's starting to show?
I just think Jordan Love is bipolar in terms of how he plays.
Okay.
And you're seeing the not-so-good side of it.
Okay.
183 for a touchdown interception is not going to cut it. The bigger problem was Josh Jacobs, 16 carries for 30 yards.
What?
They got shut down in the run game.
I'm looking at that. That's what?
They have an elite
1.5 yards.
They have an elite defense, which gave the Lions problems and gave the Browns problems. But if Jordan Love doesn't play his A game, I fear for this offense. Okay, we're going to speed through. Chargers beat the Broncos. Another late collapse by the Broncos. Jim Harbaugh 3-0. I'm going to put out there that Herbert is 2-0 and playing like an MVP since he started dating Madison Beer. Just a funny thing there. Not much to hear about in terms of Seahawks Saints. Seahawks blow the doors off the Saints. Saints woes at 0-3 continue. Spencer Rattler plays poor once again. You wonder when Tyler Show is going to get a chance to show what he has. Haha, I'm so funny. You were supposed to laugh there.
I wasn't paying attention. What was the joke?
I said, I wonder when Tyler Show is going to get the chance to show what he has.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Bears blow the Cowboys out, which doesn't surprise me because it's the Cowboys. I still don't trust the Bears, though, because the Cowboys' defense is one of the worst in the league. But Caleb, those are 4 touchdowns. This team gets some confidence. We'll see how they play next week and if they're legitimate or not. My Cardinals lose to the 49ers 16-15 in a pretty boring one. Chiefs beat the Giants 22-9. The Giants look like a peewee team out there on offense. Russ with a pretty bad performance. Cam Scatabo, the only guy that looked like he was trying out there on the Giants sideline. A great game for the Chiefs. Tyquan Thornton becoming a top receiving option for them. The former New England Patriot.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, tonight, Lions-Ravens.
8:15 p.m.
We encourage you, if you are interested and if you are so willing, to tune into that game. I think it'll be a good one. We will, of course, talk about it next week on the show. We will be playing the Browns next weekend at 1. The Packers will be taking on the Cowboys at 8:20. I think the Packers will blow them out, but we'll see with the offensive woes they've been having. It's going to be an interesting game. Next Thursday will be Cardinals-Seahawks. I don't think that'll be too good of a game. And 2 Monday night games, Jets-Dolphins and Bengals-Broncos. 2, I think, games that'll make you fall asleep. But use your own discretion if you're interested in watching those games. Mm-hmm. You are more than welcome to do so if you so choose.
So in the beginning of the show, I brought up Aiden Hutchinson. So Aiden Hutchinson has a foundation called Hutch's Hero.
Yep.
And I think every week he picks someone who's like a kid who's like battling cancer. And this week is someone named Maddie, a 4th grade student in Negaunee. So for any of the Lions fans, it's encouraged to wear your Lions gear. At least, you know, for in honor of that foundation. So that's why a lot of people were bringing up Aiden Hutchinson in the last few days, because of someone in Negaunee. So that was what I was trying to bring up earlier in the show. Since now we're in garbage time, I should call it.
Something interesting I want to bring up, though.
Okay, go ahead. If you so choose.
I want to talk about, we are 1/3 of the way-ish through the college football season. And so I want to know, it's been an interesting year. Ohio State was the favorite going in. I think you could comfortably say that they're going to be the favorite moving forward. Whether or not you think they are the best team is up for debate.
I still think Penn State will give them a hard time.
But what I want to know from you is, my initial national championship pick was Ohio State against, I forget who I said. I don't remember. I might have said it on the show. I might not have. Oh, I did. Who was my 4 the bottom 4 or the top 4?
I think
I was the bottom.
OSU, Bama, Texas, and Notre Dame.
No, that was last year, I think.
Yeah, this was last year's pick.
Oh,
for
was this
year's
okay, so I made
prediction.
these picks right at the end of last season.
Yes.
And then I made new picks that I don't think we recorded. It might have been on the show. It might not have been. At the beginning of this year. So at the beginning of last year, I had Notre Dame, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas as my top 4. Which, looking at it now, I can comfortably say that 2 of those picks are misses and 2 of those picks are hits through 4 weeks. I think OSU and Georgia are comfortably good picks. Texas, Arch Manning isn't what he was supposed to be, and Notre Dame has just Notre Dame as they do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in week 4, and you can put this on the same note if you want, or you can record it wherever, maybe on our show sheet.
Yeah, we're recording.
I want to know from you who, through 4 weeks, your Final Four is. I'll give you mine first. You're going to use Macy ratings to assist you, you cheater. But
I mean, I could have gone to ESPN.
I'll give you mine straight without looking. Okay, I will comfortably say Ohio State will be in the Final Four, whether I like it or not. Georgia will be in the Final Four. So I'll stick with those 2 picks. I'm going to put Miami, Florida.
Okay,
as pick number 3,
that's a good one. I like that one.
As the ACC champions. They've changed it, I believe, starting this year, where the top 4 teams are no longer automatically conference championships, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm still going to say Miami, Florida's in the top 4. And I won't pick a heavy underdog, although there was a temptation to pick Indiana. I think my 4th pick for this, because it's a 12-team playoff, I think you're going to get another Big Ten team in the Final Four. I'm torn between Oregon and Penn State, but I think I'm going to trust Oregon more. So I'm going to say Ohio State. I'm going to ignore seedings for this, but I'm just going to tell you who I think will play who based on who the highest seed, lowest seed, and the 2 middle remaining seeds are. I think Ohio State will go into it as actually I think Georgia will go into it as the top seed. Because
for me, I can't. I have very little information. I still don't know if it's going to be Ohio State or Penn State.
Okay.
I think when they face against each other,
you can pick one.
That's when I'll pick one over the other.
You can pick both, but I think Georgia will be the top seed, and they will be taking on in the semifinals. They will be taking on. Who's my 4th team? I'm blanking on them now.
I don't know.
Sorry, they'll be taking on Miami, Florida.
Okay.
And I think Georgia will win I shouldn't say pretty comfortably. I think Georgia will win. Here's where you talking about not enough information is going to be relevant to me. I think the semifinal game number 2 is going to be a classic Pac-12 Big Ten game.
Okay.
Obviously not the Pac-12 anymore, but a former Pac-12 team. Ohio State against Oregon.
That would be
excluding my biases because they are against Ohio
heavyweight
State.
Match, yeah.
I still think Oregon will win that game.
Okay.
Because I think Dante Moore is the second best quarterback in the country behind John Mateer of Oklahoma, who, by the way, would be my first team out, my fifth best team in my top 4. So that brings you Oregon, Georgia in the national championship, and I don't think I can pick against Georgia. However, I would say this is the most open year in the college football playoff since 2007, when you had teams like Kansas and Missouri in the top 5. I know you don't have enough information.
No, my picks: Massachusetts, Kent State, Akron, Eastern Michigan. There we go. There we go.
You're picking the bottom 4 teams of college
football.
You know what? Actually, that'd be an interesting thing. Let's go back to that for a minute. I picked my top 4.
Who are the bottom 4?
Why don't I go ahead and pick my bottom 4? Let's make it interesting. Okay.
Well, definitely Akron, because their first 2 games they didn't win. They didn't score a single point, and they did. They did beat an FCS school.
I'll take Akron, UMass, Kent State, and go back for a minute, please. And I'll take as my 4th team. I'll take
Sam Houston.
I'll take Sam Houston, UMass, Kent, and Akron.
Okay.
You know who has been really surprising, actually, that I thought would be near the bottom 4? Is UConn has actually played good this year. Where are they at in the Macy rankings? They're probably in the top 100 this year. 108.
108.
Okay. But for UMass or Connecticut, that's good progress. I forgot Delaware is D1.
Both of their losses
are in overtime to good D1 teams too. Syracuse is a good team, and Delaware's not that bad either. Okay.
Delaware, by the way, their uniforms are essentially like a Walmart, Michigan.
They're funny too, except the blue hat. Yeah. Okay.
We do have to go. So if you have any
I've got a closing segment for us.
All right, let's go.
3 minutes. I want a score prediction and a player of the game for you.
I can't give you that.
Fine, I'll give it to you.
Oh.
I'm going to take the Lions.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking about tonight's Detroit game. Baltimore's favorite to win. I'm going to take the Lions 31-27.
Okay.
I'll give you my actual player of the game, then I'll give you my dark horse that I think is going to make a big difference in this game. My player of the game is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh, Sonic.
Now, I think the overall best player in this game will be Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But I think the Lions win, so they get the player of the game, so it will be Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs is in my fantasy football team.
My dark horse for this game is going to be, I think Isaac TeSlaa catches a touchdown. That's my hot take.
One-handed?
No, I think he gets 2 hands on it this time. But I think he gets a touchdown in this game. That's my hot take. Well, I guess my hot take is Detroit winning, because no expert agrees with me on that. But my hot take is him catching a touchdown. So I want who's winning, what score, the player of the game, and the hot take.
My hot take in sports, Vanderbilt wins the SEC. All right, we will see you guys next week here on, this is the Jack and Dom Radio Show here on WEPX 91.5 FM, HU1 Marquette. We will see you guys next week.